Okay. Hi, welcome. I'm Elijah for the Emerald, and I'm here interviewing actors from The Play That Goes Wrong, and their names are...
I'm Isla. I played Thomas Collymore.
I'm Zack. I played Cecil Haversham.
I'm Salla. I played Charles Haversham.
I'm Rachel, and I played Perkins.
I'm Elizabeth, and I played Sandra / Florence Collymore.
I'm Gavin. I played Chris / Inspector Carter.
I'm Anna. I played Trevor.
I'm Addison. I played Arthur the Gardener.
Nice. And could you give us a little summary of your character in the play and how hard it was to become that character, and like were they the polar opposite of you, or were you guys fairly similar?
Let's see. For me, my character was Perkins, and he was the butler, so he's a very proper British man. And so obviously I'm not a British man or a butler, so kind of different. So kind of different from who I am, but I think developing like the vocal choices with the accent and stuff like that, and like definitely like getting into costume and the wig totally helped me get into character too. So.
Yeah, her vocal choices were amazing. She had this hilarious face.
Yeah, it was really good.
Just like swallowing everything.
Yeah.
Amazing face. My character is a corpse who's really bad at playing dead. So, he's kind of like, he's a green actor, but he's not so new. He's probably been ensemble in a couple of productions before, but this is his first lead role in a bit. Quite similarly to me. He also gets really excited, which causes him to miss his cues and come in at the wrong time sometimes. Similarly to me. So, I feel like the hardest part was... the hardest part for me was the British accent, I think, and then also like having to feel frustrated on stage, because I almost never feel frustrated on stage. I'm really happy on stage. Yeah, basically just acting.
So I played like this proper Britishman who would like stand up real straight, do this with his arms, and just be very proper. But it was difficult because when I broke character, I would have to like be this like second grader who's like never been on stage before and like has no idea what he's doing, and it was like a big contrast, so it was really hard to pull off. I don't think I did it that well, but it's okay. It's okay. But yeah, so I think the challenges were just like the switch between the two characters because of how different they were.
I played Thomas Collymore, who was, I think, written as a male role, so that was kind of tough because I remember like looking at the audition. I think their thing that they said was like, Robert obviously wants to be Richard Burton, so I went in, I was sort of trying to play like someone who was very like dramatic, like every single word he said was the most important line in the entire show. So that was kind of tough, but yeah, costuming really helped. It was really kind of intimidating to go in because everyone else seemed to sort of have an idea of what they wanted their character to do and how they wanted them to be unique, and I was sort of unsure, but getting to like do the scenes and figure out the physicality of how I was going to move really helped me like figure out who I was.
Yeah, I think you all did great jobs of embodying your characters in this play.
For me, being able to embody Sandra was really fun. Initially, I was kind of like nervous about it just because I am like knocked out for half of it. But I don't know, there was something that was very familiar about Sandra to me, and just like that sort of brand of like actress and like theater girl being very invested, and then sort of seeing how that like divulged into chaos like as the show went on. And I think it was really just sort of like dramatizing stuff that I was very familiar with, which was really fun to do.
Yeah, I think it was really fun to play Chris because he's kind of fourth wall breaking the whole time in a little sense, in that he's trying so hard not to acknowledge everything that's going wrong, just trying to go with it, and I admire his dedication in many senses. Don't know if it's practical most of the time, but yeah, no, I thought it was really fun to dive in that character just because he cares so much about what he's doing, yet at the same time, it's maybe not the best at it. So,
Yeah, I really liked playing Trevor, just because he was a very laid-back character, but it was definitely interesting because obviously he's not like an actor in the play within the play, so like that was an interesting thing to get used to, and like especially with like being on stage but not being fully on stage for most of
Yeah.
that. Like, it was definitely an interesting vibe to get used to. But yeah, it was a really cool experience, and I think I really did and I really ended up liking the character that I played.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun playing Arthur. I think it was a fun role because he's an older man, like tapping into like that vocal that I have to kind of work on, but also like the physical. So it was a lot of fun kind of experimenting with both of those and like trying different things throughout the rehearsal process. So it was definitely a big learning experience for me, and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, I really liked it.
Yeah, and with that being said, was it at all hard to hold yourself together in the play? That was so funny.
So hard.
Entirely, and it completely depends on the audience because our second to last audience was the best audience we've had.
They were so good.
They were
And
so
then-
good. Like I
We gave them a
never,
grade.
yeah. The first so we had 6 performances in total, including an outreach that we did for middle schoolers and our open dress rehearsal, which I kind of consider a performance because there's an audience.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did a lot, and it's usually it's not super hard to stay in character when you're in character and you get on stage in character, which makes it easier to not laugh when you remind yourself that you're not yourself, you're playing this person and you kind of become this person. But on shows when things actually go wrong, it's really hard not to break character and be like, oh my gosh, what the heck is happening? And shows when the audience has a different reaction than you expect, because that's the thing about our shows, because it's comedy, a lot of it is audience interaction. So sometimes they'll just show up and do something different than they did the night before, and you just have to adapt to it and keep going.
Out of all 6 of our shows, our last audience was the only one to laugh at my giant jump spin.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, isn't good. I'm like dreading every time. I'm like, okay, I gotta do the thing now. They're not gonna laugh, but it's fine. And then I did, and I was like, oh my god, they laughed. Oh, thank God.
I think it's also because some of them had seen the show before and they were coming back to see it another time and they weren't sure for it.
And that was kind of exciting that since there were always certain jokes that you were never sure were going to land or not. I had all throughout the entire rehearsal process, I had this one joke that was an incest joke that
everybody
never
loved
got
that.
a laugh. And then the opening night, people just lost their minds. It was the only thing I got a laugh for. So it was sort of fun. You never get to know. But
Can't go wrong, honestly.
But I wasn't prepared to not break for that when I said that line that was kind of like a throwaway up until then, to not laugh when everyone was laughing.
In the beginning, it was really hard, especially when we first started working with the set, because as Mr. Morris's staging really started to come to life and as the jokes started to be implemented more seriously, it was the first couple of times seeing things like the falling second floor or Gavin getting hit in the face with the shield, I was definitely breaking. But as the process went on and I really started to develop and stay in character, I began to relate to the sort of mortification of, oh my gosh, the whole thing is going wrong. Yeah. Wait, for lack of better word, going wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think at first it's easier to get used to not laughing at your own lines, I think. But then other people start developing their characters really well. And it was really hard for me to not break character at someone else's line or what someone else did, because I think just everyone did such a great job with it. And, it was really a lot of getting into, for me, for Chris at least, just trying to be as upset as possible with just hilarious other actors on stage, which it was difficult, but I think,
Pulled it off.
I hope.
Yeah, with this show, like I said, definitely the majority of my character, especially in the first act, I'm in the tech booth. So it was interesting because I was sort of watching the show from the audience's perspective a little bit, and I think that really made it difficult to not break character because I got to see the full picture of everything that was happening, and it was such a crazy show that it was just so much was going on, and it was definitely hard to stay into character. But I think as it went on, you kind of get used to your character more, and
Yeah, similar to Anna, I spent a lot of the whole first act in the dressing room.
Yeah.
So it was really hard initially to remember to keep looking at the screen instead of trying to turn and face to the stage, and remembering to stay in character and have reactions to those things, because I feel sometimes I would know things were coming and so I'd kind of forget to make a reaction, but obviously realistically my character would have no idea that was going to happen. So it was stuff like that, remembering to have reactions to the screen and not the stage, and trying to build your character off of that.
I
will say the one part where I broke character every single time without fail was when Salla, who played Charles Habersham, when she like finally came out at the right time for her like not so fast inspector line, the audience always like went
crazy.
berserk.
Yeah.
And I would be sitting
Every
there
show.
just like
Yeah.
like that exact face. It was really hard because that was one of my favorite parts of the whole show. So.
Okay, speaking of favorite parts, what were each of you guys' favorite parts of the show?
Well, besides that, I really like mine and Katie's like fight situation. I liked our like wrestling jumps, and then also this is sort of like one of my like backstage favorite moments. But every night when I like woke up from being knocked out, I would go backstage behind the bookcase waiting for my entrance, and I would always see Anna there. I would have like a little like powwow conversation before I like went out on stage, and I always like that little like check up mid-show.
Yeah, your WWE moment like that. That was highlight. Yeah, I think you
Probably
getting
one of my
crushed
favorite
by
parts of the show.
getting crushed by the platform. That was a good moment. Yeah, it was good. I will say every time another thing to go back to breaking character is anything with Winston. The jump, like it took so much out of me to be like, nope,
Go Winston.
nope.
Go
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah, literally the whole show was so fun. I was gonna say something and now I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, I just think that intermission, well, it wasn't really like, I think it was really fun because it wasn't scripted, so it was like every night was kind of different, and it was fun because you really got into your character and you could just kind of play off of whatever you wanted, and especially with the addition of the audience, like their energy was so good, so it made you want to like do better. I don't know, it was just really fun to get into the character at the intermission and like get to interact with other actors.
Yeah, I will say one of my favorite parts that I'm not on stage for is when Robert or Isla's gun doesn't go off and then Gavin just says bang and like falls over. I don't know why, but the way he said it every time, I would be like fighting to stay in character on the side. So I thought that was very funny.
Yeah.
And then I had a lot of fun with like my leash. I don't know. Like it was a lot of fun trying to figure out like physical comedy.
I
Like
think you should specify what you mean by
the leash when there's no dog and I'm just kind of throwing it around.
Yeah.
On stage.
I also love the second part where you're like standing up after the walls fell and you're just like,
Oh yeah, that's good too.
No, and even after
Yeah.
that, when Salla, who was Charles, would tell you guys to go downstairs, and
Yeah.
then you would just
I feel
march
like everything after
Slowly fall down.
Yeah.
and just slowly sink to the ground.
Like, how dare you?
How was it acting in a show that had so many stunts that could be very dangerous?
Well, for me personally, there was never really a time when I felt like truly and genuinely unsafe, which I'm very appreciative for because I know it's a very ambitious show to do technically. I know that so many things go wrong and so much of like the set was very precarious and how like, you know, safe it was because it was all basically constructed to fall apart by the end. But I don't know. I thought that Mr. Morris did a really great job of sort of like directing us through it all. I thought that Mr. Mahoney and the tech crew did an incredible job of building sets. And it was really like more than anything very fun to navigate that. So it made it a lot less scary, which was nice.
Yeah, I know. Like it definitely like going into this, reading the script and being like, oh, this falling and this happens. It could be like, how is this gonna work? But just the process was so smooth, and we took it slow, and we made sure that everything was fine. So even like the first time being on the platform and everything felt completely safe. And I think that they did a great job of not just building the set, but also navigating how we interacted with it. So.
Yeah, it was definitely an ambitious show with how crazy all of the stunts and things are, but I mean, because my character at one point gets like crushed by a falling platform, and the first times we were rehearsing that, I was kind of worried about it, and there was like a secret trapdoor that I would escape out of, but really like after a couple times I realized that like I wasn't really in any danger, it wasn't actually gonna hurt me, so I think that was a lot of it, just like realizing that like the set actually was built very safely and like we were all gonna be okay.
Yeah, it was definitely a learning experience. I think it definitely helped like with the addition of our SMs, like our stage managers, because we had 4 of them kind of like all like spread out everywhere. That was really helpful because I feel like we knew that way that if something were to actually go wrong, we would have people covering it and figuring out how we can like adapt to those situations. But I think that definitely made me feel safer as an actor, just having so many people, because there were also just like tech and our like actor tech just all backstage that would kind of help like improvise if we needed to.
Well, one last question. I was working concessions during these plays, and for one of them, I got to witness you guys' pre warm up things. Like, those were so fun. So, would you guys like to share what your favorite of those is?
Oh yeah. My favorite warm up has always been and will always be to sit in solemn silence, because like it's this really just long, sort of convoluted rhyming monologue that we go through. And I remember, like, as a freshman, they don't explicitly teach it to you. So just over the course of, like, several shows, you just kind of have to pick it up. And it always, like, is the thing that finishes out our warm-ups. So everyone is, like, really hyped for it, and it kind of becomes, like, a little bit of, like, a song. It's my favorite warm-up. I love that one.
Yeah, I like Pulse a lot. I don't know. I just, that sense of community.
Yeah, nice.
Oh yeah, we're making a
demonstration.
poll. We're making a polls.
Pulse over here.
Start again.
Oh,
God.
there we go. Yeah, pretty self-explanatory there.
Okay, guys.
Yeah, no, but I think it's a really great, like, just, you know, symbolic of the community we have here, and you know, especially when it gets to the shows, we've already, you know, done so much together, and I think it's just a really great moment. You know.
Yeah, like Elizabeth said, I'm a fan of To Sit in Solemn Silence. I think one of these shows might have been my first time nailing the entire thing all at once, so that was pretty cool. And yeah, I also like the pulse at the end, and we all offer like our intentions for the show, and I think that's nice because we definitely all connect a bit. Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah. One of my other favorite things is we always do toy boats, but I feel like over the course
yeah.
of the show, like we would have to do more and more. Like it would get oddly specific to like 23 toy boats like in a row. But yeah, it's like a good solid base of toy boats. Yeah.
It went from like 3 to 5 to 15 to 27.
It was
That's very specific.
We
Yeah, it kept
love the
going.
intervals.
Yeah.
Exponentially.
No, Gavin would be offering like 25 and a half.
And a half.
Yeah, it'd be like and
Toy.
a third.
We don't want to
You just
overdo
say
it with
20.
26, but
Yeah,
you know.
you know.
Yeah.
Gotta refrain.
Okay, well, thank you for all your great answers. This is Elijah for the Emerald, signing off.